Today we're getting clean shaven with Interview Magazine, surfing with Vogue Philippines, and going gray with Vogue Portugal. My name is Marco, welcome to the Model Gene, and if you're ready to dissect this month's covers, hit that like button and let's get started on September's Battle of the Covers. Starting off with Vogue US, we have Emma Stone by Jamie Hawkesworth. This is Anna Wintour's final September issue as editor-in-chief of American Vogue, and it looks like this cover is meant to bookend her first cover in November 1988, shot by Peter Lindbergh. Her first cover was a bold change in direction from the rest of the decade, where the covers were all portraits very tight to the face, and here we have a location shoot pairing Christian Lacroix haute couture with jeans. For this final cover, there's absolutely nothing groundbreaking about the image or the creative direction. This shoot was done in collaboration with Nicolas Guesquière. All the pieces are custom Louis Vuitton, created for the story specifically, shot at the same location as their last cruise collection in Avignon. So a lot of this makes it feel like an advertorial rather than an editorial. Vogue posted a behind the scenes for this cover shoot, and it really feels like a BTS video for a Louis Vuitton campaign rather than a Vogue shoot. I much prefer this image where she looks like Gollum trying to suck her toes. Emma looks crazy, but it is a way more interesting photo to look at. Her twisted body, the texture of the clothes, the harsh shadows, the historic setting. It is a real shame that they used a plain background for the cover, despite this being shot at the Palais des Papes. This may be the end of an era for Vogue, but my hopes aren't high for the direction for the magazine moving forward with a new editor-in-chief. Michaela Cole covers British Vogue. She has such a striking face framed by this Alaya look. If you haven't watched her in the show Chewing Gum, do yourself a favor and binge it. This isn't necessarily the most interesting cover, but I like the highlights on her face, the blue against the warm background. The photo of her laughing is my favorite from the editorial. She looks rather vacant in most of the others. I don't understand this wig in only one of the images, but it is a serviceable celebrity editorial. Mikey Madison covers Vogue Italia, a very recognizable Stephen Meisel portrait. I think it's a shame when you have Pat McGrath as the makeup artist and all we get is a winged eyeliner, but she looks cute. Not much else to say here. The cover is lacking anything bold enough to speak about. Jean Cadieux and Ella McCutcheon cover Vogue France. Color would be nice on one of the covers, but both have good tonal range. Ella's cover could be a lookbook image, but Jean's cover is more expressive. This earring is overwhelming the photo a bit, but it is a pretty timeless image. Vogue Philippines, you've done it again. Another completely unexpected cover from the magazine. In May, we had the skydiving and motocross covers of Pomme Clémentif. For September, we have another sporty cover, with Iked Agudo surfing. Besides the fact that this cover is just so different from the recycled studio slop from most magazines, I love that it is showing fashion with movement and energy, reflecting a woman that is activated, not just there to be observed. From a photographic perspective, I personally would have loved the cover even more if the subject was being lit from the front rather than backlit. A bit late in the afternoon, so there was more orange tones and a dreamier sunset, but I understand that some of these things are out of your control when you're shooting outdoors and at the mercy of the waves. Congratulations to Vogue Philippines for another memorable cover this month. Vogue Philippines also released these 6 limited edition sleeves for their September issue, and this photo of Natasha Nielsen by Sharif Hamza could have easily been a cover for another month, and it is better than most of the other September editions of Vogue. Her face is so incredibly beautiful. I love how the light is hitting her face and the back of her neck, the mix of fashion and documentary style photography. There's just enough story in this photo that makes you really want to know what the rest of the editorial looks like. Sabrina Carpenter covers Interview Magazine, a very lazy effort from Brianna Capozzi in producing such an overdone reference. The original reference is this 1965 Esquire cover of Verna Lisa by Carl Fisher with an article about the masculinization of the American woman. But this concept of having a beautiful woman shaving her face has been recreated many times over. With Sabrina's cover, all of the weight of the image is on the left side, and I'm not sure why the crop isn't closer to her face. Her new album is infectious, but this cover is not my favorite. Vogue Portugal has 4 covers for their Wisdom issue. This is my favorite of the bunch. I love how the fur and her hair are framing her face, a face showing the passage of time in a world where women younger than her are being celebrated for unveiling their 3rd and 4th facelifts. Aging is a privilege, not something you need to be battling against. The other photo of Simona is fine. I wouldn't think it was necessary for a cover, but her hair looks nice. I'm not getting the Wisdom issue from this cover by Alejandro Arrias and David Brava Bustos, but the shapes are great and the image is interesting to look at. There's a lot of emotion in this photo by Kosmas Pavlos. Very You Raised Me Up by Josh Groban / Wind Beneath My Wings by Bette Midler. My favorite part of this cover is how relaxed her face is. All of the tension is in her arms. The more anchored she is with the other person, the more serene she becomes. Iman Hammam covers Vogue Netherlands, HARPER'S, shot in Egypt by Lachlan Bailey. The images are all very orange tinted. I wouldn't have minded a bit more color contrast in the covers, but I don't hate them as is. This is my favorite of the 3 covers. She is posed well, her face looks perfect, the hair is great, a big improvement from the covers of Yasmin Wijnaldum last month. Lana Del Rey covers W Magazine by Stephen Meisel. The silhouette of her hair is a bit too crisp and helmety looking, but she looks very demure for being Mrs. Gatorland. I wish there was something more subversive, something darker about the image. This is pretty but very safe. Dua Lipa covers Harper's Bazaar. She looks great, but these covers are lacking. These photos look indistinguishable from when celebrities get invited to Cannes or a show during Fashion Week, and they hire a photographer to take BTS photos for the brand sponsoring the trip. These are lovely Instagram photos, but devoid of creative direction. Vogue Czechoslovakia has 4 covers. They are really trying to go in the Vogue Portugal direction of art-focused covers. My favorite is this cover of Isla Peterson. This look is so fantastic, so photogenic. I'm not surprised we saw the same look last month with W Magazine China. Maggie Mara's cover would have been stronger with her eyes open, but I don't hate it. The 2 covers by Michael Pudelka are fun and playful, very unexpected, and normally reserved for inside an editorial, but I appreciate the bold point of view. In both covers, the photographer has composed the scene to take your eye around the image. It really checks all the boxes for a successful photo. Paloma Elsasser covers Vogue Germany. I really don't like this cover. She has never looked less like a model. Her strength is her face and the amount of real estate she has on her eyelid to allow for great makeup, but this comes off as juvenile and silly. Lisa Rinna's daughter covers Vogue España. I'm really disappointed to see Shannon Sang photographing this botched Nepo model. I wish more photographers had the integrity and enough self-respect to say no, because they clearly put no effort in this cover. Rosalia covers El España. I love the movement in this cover. Inez Invenude captured her wild spirit. This feels very aligned with her brand. This cover I'm not as much of a fan of. The flower makes it feel a bit amateur, but I do like the pop of red. For Constance Jablonski's cover, the lighting is incredibly unflattering around her mouth area. If her mouth was closed, it wouldn't be as much of an issue, but that amount of shadow makes her lip look very thin and villainous. This could have been from an e-com shoot. It doesn't look like a magazine cover. Mia Armstrong covers Vogue Adria. Sorry, but I prefer the cover where the model's face is covered. Here we have drama, mystery, evoking the statue of veiled Jesus and really emphasizing the unique draping of this look. It is unexpected for a September issue, a real knockout. The other cover cannot compare. All I see is eyebrows, and the look is less impactful like this. There is an inherent theatricality to this Margiela look, so the model looking to camera without any discernible expression feels like a misstep. Paula Suarez covers Vogue Mexico. I absolutely love this cover. This shoot features the collaboration between Lorena Saravia and H&M, a huge opportunity for the Mexico City-based designer to be viewed on a global stage. This cover of Vogue Mexico is my favorite cover of the month and one of my favorites of the year. My most frequent criticism of most covers is their lack of storytelling, but here we have layers and layers of narrative. The model is surrounded by the rich history of Mexico. From the Spanish colonial buildings to the charros surrounding her on horseback, we have the tradition and modernity. The motion blur on the horses is perfectly executed, and despite all of the different elements in the background, the focus is still fully centered on the model. There is a commanding presence from the model. She looks tough and confident. The BTS video from this shoot is really beautiful as well. They do a great job in creating a complete world. Jenna Ortega also covers Vogue Mexico this month. She looks pretty, but it also reads as high schooler just got their first camera and is taking pictures of their friend, especially in this photo. The styling, ouch. Naomi Campbell covers Vogue Brazil, and as I said last month, I would have preferred all Brazilian models for their 50th anniversary year, but I cannot deny it is a good cover. The angles created by her hat and the seam of the jacket are directing your eye through the image, the silky hair as well. The face looks over-edited and more like a painting than a photograph, but at least compositionally, it is a nice cover this month. Travis Kelce covers GQ, doing Joe Dirt cosplay. If you're already sick of this couple, buckle up because they're going to milk this relationship for every penny they can. Prepare yourself for him to star in a comedy in the next 2 years. I would prefer this cover with a shallower depth of field. The background is pulling focus. Abby Lee covers Vogue Australia. She has just one of those faces that I never get sick of seeing. In this cover, the storyline is what's bringing the image down. Her hair is in rollers, but her makeup is fully done in a coat. They wanted her hair in rollers. The image would have been stronger if she were in the process of getting ready, applying her mascara, not fully dressed. This cover I much prefer. The late 1960s style is being conveyed through the texture of the furniture, the pointed bra, the muted tones. Going through the editorial images, I wish there was a more consistent approach to the lighting. I think this photo has the most richness of color, depth of shadow, whereas here, everything is more flat. I hope to see more of Abbey Lee in the future, despite her transition into acting. Vogue China's 20th anniversary issue has an ensemble cast, as well as solo covers, and I love the photography here. It is hard for me to pick a favorite from all of the covers, so I'll give you some of the highlights. This group shot with a picture frame, they managed to shoot 8 models in studio, and yet the cover doesn't feel crowded or boring, not an easy feat. I think one of the biggest contributing factors to that is the inclusion of the picture frame that allows the hands to have something to do in the image, rather than just a bunch of floating heads. For the other group shot, they are all posed to perfection. I most appreciate the depth in the scene, which is a common criticism for studio photography. This red is really incredible. The texture, the layers, her hands, well done. Fei Sun's cover is also one of my favorites from the solo covers. The jewelry is very dominant, but her face is so incredible, it is hard to look at anything else. Congratulations to Vogue China on the 20th anniversary and these beautiful covers. Liu Wen covers W Magazine China. I love her as a model, but this comes off as a jewelry lookbook, not a cover story for a fashion editorial. When a cover is focused on jewelry, there needs to be a narrative beyond pretty girl wearing shiny pretty diamonds, and that is unfortunately what happened here. I want to know who this woman is, where she is going, to create some type of fantasy. Yasmin Wijnaldum covers Vogue Turkey, and despite the styling being a bit too heavy-handed, I think it is a good cover for them. I like how the path of her hair and the arm are parallel, with her shoulder and the top of the dress in the opposite direction. It is a great way to get the eye to travel on a path that feels pleasing and intentional. The crochet texture is clashing with the soft pleating. I would have preferred this cover without anything on her head, like they did in the editorial, but I still think it is a nice cover for the magazine. Sydney Sweeney covers WSJ Magazine, and as much as I usually enjoy the work of Elizaveta Porodina, there is one part of the image that I have trouble getting past, and that's her chin. With this type of blurred edge effect, the photo has a more painterly quality. Everything is a bit hazy and more moody, which I love, but we seem to have lost a chunk of her chin in the process, and it throws off her whole facial balance. Besides that, I like the styling, the beautiful earring, the key light on her face. Padma Lakshmi and her daughter Krishna cover Vogue India, and if you've seen the documentary about the Twin Flames cult, you probably also find it weird to see this plastered on the cover. Title aside, I like the mix of patterns they are wearing, although this green velvet around Padma's neck is swallowing her up. I wish Krishna wasn't hiding behind her mother. She feels more like a prop than an equal subject on the cover. In this pose from the editorial, they are sharing the image, and I would have preferred this for the cover. The rest of the images are a mixed bag. This photo of Padma is beautiful, but the rest feel more appropriate for People magazine than Vogue India. Liu Wen covers Marie Claire China, 16 covers, and I am so impressed they managed to produce so many good covers for just one issue. Be sure to let me know in the comments which are your favorites, because I'm struggling to pick just one. The black and white covers, the lighting is so excellent. I love it when there is so much depth of tone, really dark shadows that sculpt the image. The styling here is spot on. Liu Wen looks tough but also fashionable. Of the color images, I think these two are my favorite. They're just so fun and unexpected, and this is the level of excellence I want when a cover story is shot in studio. There's nothing in the background to engage the viewer, then the subject really needs to level up, and these two covers do exactly that. Even though her pose is stationary, the different textures and weights of clothing, especially the stacked hats, they all make this cover super dynamic. The hats look like they are about to topple, and that tension makes for a great visual hook. The unexpected hair choice really brings this image together. Surrealist, fantastical, the spotted tights with the striped shoes, the shape she is making with her body, it's just all so good. These are definitely some of my favorite covers across all the magazines this month. Congratulations to the team for this execution. 6 covers for V-Man's Fall-Winter issue, a selection of models, actors, and one Nepo baby for good measure. The photography is inoffensive but unremarkable, not a strong point of view coming from the artistic direction, but no one looks bad at least. Let me know in the comments which of the covers is your favorite. My pick would be of Louis Partridge, and as illogical it is for this sweater to be draped over his shoulders, it does lend to a more dynamic quality. Your eye is led in a series of swoops, following the sleeves of the sweater, his arms, the open coat, even the fallen pieces of his hair. And that is where today's review is going to end, but for more about the fashion industry, check out the links below. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the covers this month, and be sure to subscribe to find out who comes out on top next month in the Battle of the Covers.